In a small, quiet village, there lived a girl named Tenny. She was known for her kindness, her intelligence, and most of all, her hard-working nature. Life had not been easy for her. She lost her mother when she was just a child, leaving her in the care of her father. But as fate would have it, her father remarried, bringing a stepmother and a stepsister, Nora, into her life. From that moment on, things changed drastically. Tenny spent her days working tirelessly. From sunrise to sunset, she cooked, cleaned, and took care of everything in the house. While Nora and her mother enjoyed a life of comfort, they never lifted a finger, always finding new ways to burden Tenny with more work. Yet, she never complained. No matter how exhausted she felt, she held on to the belief that kindness and patience would bring her something good one day. She had a heart full of hope, even when the world around her seemed unfair. Despite the hardships, the villagers admired Tenny. They saw how dedicated and selfless she was, always willing to help others even when she had nothing for herself. But behind her warm smiles and gentle nature, there was a quiet sorrow, a longing for love, for belonging, for something more than the life she had been given. Yet, she never let her pain show. She continued to work, continued to be kind, never knowing that life was about to take an unexpected turn, one that would test everything she had ever believed in. Tenny's presence in the village was like the first light of dawn, warm, bright, and full of promise. She was admired not only for her hard-working nature, but also for her wisdom beyond her years. The village elders often sought her advice, valuing her insights and honest heart. Whenever someone had a problem, Tenny would listen patiently, offering thoughtful words that somehow always seemed to bring comfort. Her kindness was genuine, and the villagers loved her for it. But where Tenny's light shone, shadows lurked nearby, growing darker each day. Nora, her stepsister, could never understand why people adored Tenny. She, too, was the daughter of the house, yet no one looked at her the way they looked at Tenny. Whenever she entered a room, the conversations didn't pause in admiration the way they did for her sister. Whenever she spoke, people nodded politely, but never sought her advice. It was always Tenny this, Tenny that. It didn't take long for Nora's heart to fill with resentment. The more the village praised Tenny, the deeper Nora's jealousy took root, twisting into something ugly and unrecognizable. At first, Nora simply sulked, hoping people would notice her more if she dressed finer or spoke louder, but nothing changed. No matter what she did, Tenny's natural charm outshone her, and that stung. Every kind word Tenny received felt like a slap to Nora's pride. She could not bear the thought of living in her sister's shadow forever. Her heart, once merely envious, turned bitter, and that bitterness soon gave birth to cruelty. Nora began whispering falsehoods, small at first. Tiny lies dropped into unsuspecting ears like seeds in fertile soil. Did you hear what Tenny said the other day? She thinks she's smarter than the elders. Or, Tenny only helps others because she wants everyone to admire her. She thinks she's better than us. Lies, cleverly wrapped in half-truths, spread through the village like wildfire. People who once adored Tenny now hesitated when they spoke to her, wondering if the sweetness in her voice hid something else. Doubt crept in where trust had once been. Tenny, unaware of the poison seeping into the village's heart, continued her days as always, kind and hard-working. But she noticed the shift. The smiles she once received were shorter, the greetings less warm. When she passed by groups of villagers, they spoke in hushed tones. The same people who once turned to her for guidance now eyed her with uncertainty. It pained her, though she didn't know why it was happening. She chose to remain silent, hoping that whatever misunderstanding had taken hold would soon pass. But Nora was not finished. Seeing the cracks form in Tenny's once strong reputation, she pushed harder. She pretended to be hurt by Tenny's supposed arrogance, playing the role of the neglected sister. "I've always tried to love her," she would say, tears glistening in her eyes. "But she only cares about herself. She wants everyone to think she's perfect, but she looks down on me." Her words dripped with sorrow, perfectly calculated to earn sympathy, and it worked. The villagers, ever eager to support the underdog, started seeing Nora as the victim and Tenny as the one who had taken too much from life. Hatred festered in Nora's heart, growing wild and unchecked. It was no longer about being noticed. She wanted Tenny to suffer, the love that Tenny had so effortlessly received. Nora wanted to rip away piece by piece. The whispers turned into open judgment, the admiration into skepticism. Tenny, who had once been the village's shining star, now walked under a cloud of suspicion. And Nora, satisfied with her work so far, began plotting something even darker, something that would ensure her sister was not just doubted, but destroyed. Nora's jealousy had grown into something dark and dangerous. The whispers she spread about Tenny were no longer enough. She wanted her gone forever. One evening, as she sat with her mother, frustration burning inside her, she confessed her hatred. Her mother, who had never cared for Teeny, leaned in and shared an old legend. She spoke of a hidden lake deep in the jungle, a lake known as the Water of Change. According to ancient stories, one sip could bring great fortune, but if taken incorrectly, it would bring a terrible curse. A wicked plan formed in Nora's mind. If she could trick Tenny into drinking from the lake, her sister would be doomed. But she had to be careful. Tenny was not a fool. She wouldn't walk blindly into a trap. So Nora wrapped her lies in sweetness, playing the role of a loving sister for the first time. She acted kind, spoke gently, and filled Tenny's heart with hope. "Tenny," she said one evening, her voice filled with excitement, "I have discovered something amazing. Deep in the jungle, there is a sacred lake. They say its water brings blessings and prosperity to those with pure hearts. Imagine what it could do for us. All our struggles would end." Tenny, who had always longed for her sister's love, felt warmth at Nora's words. Could it be true? Did Nora truly want to share something wonderful with her? She hesitated, unsure, but Nora continued, her voice filled with sincerity. "I know we've never been as close as real sisters should be, but I want to change that. We both deserve happiness. Let's go together." Tenny, trusting and hopeful, allowed herself to believe. The idea of something magical, something that could bring a better life, was too beautiful to ignore. And for the first time, her sister was not pushing her away, but inviting her in. So, with a hopeful heart, she agreed. Before the first light of dawn, Nora led Tenny into the jungle. The trees stood tall and ominous, their thick branches blocking out the sky. Strange sounds echoed around them, whispers of the wind, rustling leaves, distant calls of hidden creatures. But Nora walked with confidence, never hesitating. She had memorized the path, each twist and turn, from the stories her mother had told her. Every step brought them closer to the moment she had been waiting for. After what felt like hours, they arrived. The lake stretched before them, its surface smooth as glass, reflecting the pale morning light. It was breathtaking, its beauty almost unreal, but something about it was unsettling, too still, too perfect, as if the water itself was waiting. Tenny, however, saw none of this. She saw only the hope that Nora had given her. Nora turned to her, smiling sweetly. "Go ahead, sister," she urged. "Drink first. You have the purest heart. I know the lake will bless you." Tenny hesitated, glancing at the water. It shimmered invitingly, almost calling to her. She knelt at the edge, cupping her hands to take the first sip. She did not see Nora's cold, eager eyes watching her every move. She did not sense the danger in the air. She had no idea that in just a moment, her life would change forever. The morning sun shimmered over the still waters of the lake, casting a golden glow across its surface. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves, carrying with it the sounds of birds and distant whispers of the jungle. Kneeling by the water's edge, hands cupped together, a breath was drawn in anticipation. The water looked pure, inviting, holding promises of change and fortune. But just as lips were about to touch the surface, a sudden force came from behind, a sharp, unexpected shove. A gasp was swallowed by the crash of water as the body plunged into the lake. Coldness wrapped around like an unforgiving grip, pulling downward into the unknown. The water, once clear and calm, turned dark, thickening like ink. A strange energy crackled through the air, sending an eerie shiver through every limb. Panic surged. arms flailing, legs kicking, desperate to break free. The surface was reached, but something was terribly wrong. Emerging from the depths, gasping for air, eyes darted toward the lake, searching for a familiar reflection, but there was nothing. No face stared back. The water no longer held an image. It was blank, empty, as if existence itself had been erased. Fingers trembled as they touched cheeks, nose, lips. Everything was still there. The body was real, but the face was gone from the world's eyes. A sharp laugh shattered the silence. Standing at the shore, arms crossed, eyes glinting with satisfaction, was Noura. The smirk on her lips spoke of victory. "It worked," she murmured, almost in awe of the sight before her. Then, with mock sympathy, she added, "Oh, how unfortunate. The lake didn't bless you after all." Realization struck like a dagger. This was no accident. This was a betrayal, a carefully crafted deception wrapped in sweet words and false kindness. The weight of it settled heavy in the chest, turning shock into horror. "Why?" The word barely escaped, a whisper lost in the wind. Noura's smirk deepened. "Because I'm tired of you," she said, voice dripping with cruelty. "Tired of everyone praising you. Tired of always being second. Let's see how special you are now that no one can even see your face." Heart pounding, mind reeling, feet stumbled backward. The jungle loomed behind, vast and unwelcoming, but there was no other choice. Turning swiftly, the path was taken, crashing through branches, stumbling over roots, running blindly into the unknown. Tears blurred the vision, but what did it matter? There was no face left to show emotion, no reflection left to recognize the pain. Meanwhile, back in the village, Noura arrived breathless, her face streaked with fake tears. She collapsed onto the ground, wailing in anguish. "The spirits took her," she sobbed, voice trembling with perfectly practiced grief. "She went too close to the lake. I tried to stop her, but she just disappeared." Gasps and cries of shock rippled through the crowd. The villagers, once filled with admiration, now whispered in fear. The forbidden lake had claimed another soul. Some mourned, shaking their heads in sorrow. Others exchanged wary glances, clutching their charms and muttering prayers. No one questioned Noura's story. No one doubted the tragedy she painted with her lies. As the sun dipped below the horizon, darkness settled over the village. In the depths of the jungle, a lone figure wandered, cursed and abandoned. And in the heart of the village, another stood among the people, victorious, basking in the glow of deceit. Darkness stretched endlessly in every direction. The towering trees whispered with the wind, their twisted branches clawing at the sky like unseen hands reaching for something lost. Each step forward was heavy, each breath shaky. Eyes searched desperately for an answer, but no reflection would ever show the truth. Hands trembled as they touched a face that no longer existed in the world's eyes. The feeling was there, the warmth of skin, the softness of lips, the curve of a nose, but it was a cruel illusion. No mirror, no water, no shadow would ever reveal it again. The forest was alive with unfamiliar sounds, rustling leaves, distant howls, unseen creatures moving in the underbrush. Every noise sent a shiver down the spine. Was something watching? Was something following? The fear was suffocating, wrapping tighter with every passing moment. Hunger gnawed at the stomach, and exhaustion pulled at aching limbs. But there was no rest in a place so unforgiving. Feet stumbled over tangled roots, knees scraped against rough bark. Yet the journey continued, because stopping meant surrendering to the void. Time became meaningless. The sun rose and fell, but there was no comfort in its warmth. The nights were cold, the darkness pressing in like an endless nightmare. Loneliness crept in, whispering cruel thoughts. Would anyone ever find the way back? Or was this exile meant to last forever? Tears threatened to fall, but what was the point? There was no face left to cry. Then, through the blur of exhaustion and fear, a sound, soft, rhythmic, almost like humming. The melody floated through the air, carrying warmth in its tune. Weak legs carried forward, drawn by the only sign of life in this endless prison of trees. The clearing ahead revealed a small, simple hut, its wooden frame worn with age, yet it stood firm against the wilderness. Smoke curled gently from a fire outside, and beside it sat an old woman, her hands weaving something unseen into the air as she hummed. The woman did not flinch when the figure approached, did not recoil in fear. Her sightless eyes stared into the distance, yet there was an understanding in them, as if she could see far beyond what normal eyes could. Silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken questions. Then, in a voice soft yet strong, she spoke. "You carry a burden, child, one that does not belong to you." Shock rippled through tired limbs. How could she know? Was she like the others? Would she turn away in horror once the truth was revealed? But there was no fear in her face, no hesitation in her voice. "Come closer, sit by the fire. The night is cruel to those who wander alone." A hesitation, a flicker of doubt, and then surrender. The body sank onto the ground, warmth from the flames kissing frozen skin. The scent of herbs filled the air, comforting, grounding. For the first time since the lake, the world did not feel so cold. The woman, known as Mama Ebele, moved with a grace that defied her years. Her hands, though aged, were steady as they prepared food, as they reached out, not to see, but to understand. Pain lingers in your heart, child. It is loud even in silence. A deep breath, then another. The story, long buried in fear, finally found its way into words. The betrayal, the curse, the loss of everything once known. Mama Ebele listened, never interrupting, never looking away. When the tale was done, she nodded, as if she had already known. "The world has taken something from you," she said gently, "but it has given something in return. The question is, are you ready to find out what that is?" The warmth of the fire began to soothe Tenny's aching bones, but it was Mama Ebele's words that soothed her troubled soul. As the night stretched on, the wise old woman shared stories of the ancient lake and its cursed power, its reputation known far beyond the jungle. The lake did not only take, it gave, but the gift was never what one might expect. "It takes something from you," Mama Ebele explained in a low, steady voice, "but it gives something in return, a power, a change. It's a balance, like all things in life." Tenny listened closely, her heart racing. What had the lake taken from her? Her face, her reflection, her identity. Everything she once knew was now gone. But what had the lake given her? Was there hope for her after all? Mama Ebele's words echoed in the silence of the hut. "The lake gives a gift only if you are strong enough to accept it," she continued. "You've been chosen, child, whether you like it or not." Tenny's mind spun. Chosen? She had never asked for this curse, never wanted to lose herself in the process. But what choice did she have now? She had to understand what had been given to her, for it was the only way she could regain what had been stolen. "You've gained a new ability," Mama Ebele said, her tone gentle but firm. "You can hear the truth. The lies people speak will no longer remain hidden from you. You will hear them as clearly as your own thoughts." A chill ran down Tenny's spine. The truth, was that the gift? At first it seemed like a curse itself, to hear the lies, the deceit, the falsehoods of those around her. How could that ever be a blessing? But as Mama Ebele continued, Tenny began to understand. People lie to protect themselves, to hide their flaws, to control the world around them. But in the truth, there is power. With it, you can see through the illusions, you can understand what is real, and most importantly, you can reclaim what is yours. Tenny's eyes widened. She had never considered it that way before. The truth wasn't just something to expose, it was a tool, a weapon, and now it was hers. She could use it to undo the wrongs that had been done to her, to confront the lies that had cast her into the wilderness. But, Mama Ebele cautioned, the power is not easy to control. It will take time to master, and you must use it wisely. The truth can heal, but it can also destroy. Tenny nodded, feeling a strange sense of purpose growing within her. The power to hear the truth was both a gift and a responsibility. She would have to be careful, thoughtful, and patient. But deep down, she knew she could use it to right the wrongs that had been done to her. She could return home, reclaim her honor, and finally confront Noura. No longer would she be a helpless victim, lost in the wilderness with no hope. She had a weapon now, one that could shatter the lies that had trapped her. With Mama Ebele's blessing, Tenny set her resolve. The path ahead would not be easy, but she was ready. She had nothing left to lose. The jungle that had once seemed so vast and suffocating now felt like a place of potential, a place of transformation. She would return to the village, and she would not be the same frightened girl who had left. She was different now, stronger, wiser, and armed with the truth. The truth would be her redemption. As Tenny stood and made her way out of the hut, she glanced back at Mama Ebele, who was watching her with a knowing smile. "You're ready," Mama Ebele said softly, as if she had seen this moment coming from the very beginning. And with that, Tenny took her first step toward reclaiming everything she had lost. She was no longer lost in the wilderness. She was on the path to her redemption. Months passed in silence, the village forever marked by the mysterious disappearance of Tenny. People had long whispered that she was gone, taken by the spirits, never to return. Life went on, but the memory of her faded, replaced by the comfortable lies Noura told, her name often spoken with false sympathy. Then, one evening, as the sun began to set, a cloaked figure appeared at the edge of the village. The figure moved slowly, deliberately, as though the very ground beneath it held something powerful. The villagers gasped as the figure came closer, and their eyes widened in disbelief. It was Tenny. She had returned. For a moment, the entire village stood frozen in shock. Was it really her? They had heard rumors, but no one truly believed she would come back. Many had thought she was lost forever, claimed by the very jungle where she had vanished. But here she was, walking through the village as if nothing had happened. Her face was hidden by the cloak, and her body, once weary from hard labor, now carried a quiet strength. No one dared to speak, their words stuck in their throats. Noura, who had grown comfortable in the village's admiration, felt her stomach twist with fear. She had enjoyed the peace, the comfort of her new position, free from Tenny's shadow. But now, with the arrival of this mysterious figure, everything was about to change. She forced a smile, pretending to be happy, though the fear gnawed at her inside. What if Tenny knew? What if she came to reveal the truth? Tenny stopped in the center of the village, her presence commanding attention. The crowd gathered around her, their eyes filled with curiosity and unease. She stood there for a moment, silent, allowing the weight of the moment to settle. Finally, in a calm yet powerful voice, she spoke. "A person's beauty is in their truth. Let the truth speak tonight." The words echoed in the village, piercing through the air like a force of nature. There was no doubt in Tenny's voice, no sign of hesitation. It was the truth, and she was ready to reveal it. The villagers looked at each other, confused but intrigued. What was Tenny saying? What truth did she speak of? Noura's heart pounded in her chest. She had lied, twisted the truth, and now, it seemed, the time had come for everything to unravel. She could feel the weight of her deception closing in, and there was nowhere to hide. Tenny, with her calm demeanor and unshakable confidence, was back, not to seek revenge, but to set things right. The truth was about to be unleashed, and there was nothing Noura could do to stop it. A heavy silence hung over the village, as all eyes remained fixed on Tenny. The air was thick with tension, an unspoken fear creeping into the hearts of those who had believed Noura's lies for so long. Tenny took a slow breath, her voice steady and strong as she spoke. "The truth will not hide tonight." Her words sent a ripple through the crowd, their curiosity turning into unease. Noura, standing stiffly among the villagers, forced a laugh. "What truth?" she scoffed, her voice laced with fake confidence. "You disappeared. We mourned you. I don't understand why you're blaming me." But deep down, panic was settling in. Her hands trembled slightly, though she quickly clenched them into fists. Then, something strange happened. As Noura spoke, another voice echoed her words, but this one was raw and unfiltered, her true thoughts spilling into the air for everyone to hear. "She's back! How? This can't be! They can't find out what I did! They must believe my lies! I won't let them turn against me!" The villagers gasped, their eyes darting between Noura and Tenny. Whispers filled the air. "Did you hear that? It sounded just like her, but she never said those words." Noura's face turned pale. She shook her head wildly, stepping back. I didn't say that. I swear." But the moment she tried to speak again, her hidden thoughts once more betrayed her. "She knows! They all know! I tricked them! I tricked everyone! The truth was no longer something she could hide. It poured out against her will, exposing the way she had twisted Tenny's kindness into arrogance, the way she had spread lies, the way she had led her own sister into the jungle, knowing she would never return. The villagers' horror grew. They had believed Noura, trusted her, even praised her, while an innocent girl had suffered. Now, the weight of their mistake crushed them. "You lied to us," an elder murmured, his voice heavy with shame. "You fooled us all." Noura screamed, covering her ears, as if she could block out the truth, but it was too late. The walls of deception had shattered, leaving her exposed. Unable to face the judgment in their eyes, she turned and ran, disappearing into the depths of the jungle, never to be seen again. Regret hung heavy in the air as people lowered their heads, realizing the depth of their mistake. They had turned against the one person who had always been honest, believing the lies fed to them. The elders, voices trembling with guilt, stepped forward. "We were blind," one of them admitted. "You showed us the truth, and we failed to see it." Their words carried the weight of their shame. Tenny did not meet them with anger or resentment. She had suffered, but she had also learned. Though her reflection was lost, she had gained something far greater, the ability to see beyond falsehoods. Truth was now her greatest strength, something no curse could ever take away. Those who had once ignored her now looked at her with respect. As days passed, people sought her wisdom. They had seen the cost of deception and no longer wished to be blind to it. Tenny guided them, teaching them to value honesty over empty words. Slowly, change took root in the village. Lies no longer held power, and fairness replaced selfishness. Word of her gift spread beyond her home. Strangers travelled far to seek her advice, drawn by the stories of the girl who had lost her reflection but found something far greater. She had once been betrayed, cast aside, but she had risen above it all. She no longer longed for what was taken from her, for she had discovered something far more valuable: clarity, purpose, and an unshakable spirit. Jealousy and deception have the power to destroy everything in their path. They turn love into hatred, trust into betrayal, and peace into chaos. Lies may shine for a moment, but they always fade when the truth comes to light. No matter how much someone tries to cover their wrongdoings, the truth has a way of finding its voice. Resilience is stronger than any curse. No loss, no suffering, and no betrayal can break a heart that holds kindness and patience. Strength is not in seeking revenge, but in rising above the pain, proving that goodness cannot be defeated. Those who stand firm in truth will always find a way forward, no matter how dark the road may seem. A person is not defined by their appearance, but by their action. Beauty fades, reflections can disappear, but what remains is the honesty and purity within. The strongest souls are those who endure hardships without letting them turn their hearts bitter. In the end, it is not the lies that last, but the truth. It is not hatred that wins, but resilience.